Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. So I haven't mentioned this because I don't remember to do it. But so originally, the title of the podcast was just the In My Head podcast. That's how I had it titled. But recently I changed it to In My Head colon the podcast because I just like that better. But in the show I kept saying welcome back to the In My Head podcast, which is not right. I know this is all very dumb and confusing. And I apologize, but that's how I have it titled on Instagram and how I had it on TikTok and stuff. So I just felt like, you know what, I'm just gonna change it to In My Head colon the podcast. And I like that. I like that better. So welcome back to In My Head the podcast. And this episode, our special guest is Jessica Junco, who is a friend of mine and also is an engineer. So we're gonna talk to her about that whole journey in her life and some other more serious topics. It is Women's History Month, Women's Month, whatever. International Women's Day is soon, and or today maybe, and so we're starting it off right. And hoping to have a lot more great women on the podcast for the rest of the month. And future episodes include DC versus Marvel with me and my brother, who's not a woman, but still. And we're going to talk about WandaVision because that's going to end soon, which is very exciting. And good things like that. Good things like that. We're going to review Annihilation. If you've never seen the movie Annihilation, highly recommend. And we're going to talk about that movie for this month and a couple of other things I have in the works. So, yeah, enough of me rambling. Celebrate a woman you love today and the rest of the month. And please, if you have not, follow me on TikTok at In My Head Podcast. And on Instagram, please, at In My Head _ the podcast. And I have a Facebook page titled the same thing. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I will have linked in the description of this podcast episode. So yeah, I hope everybody is doing well. And please wear a mask. I know this intro is already too long, but please wear a mask. I know the mandate is gone. Governor Abbott said he's ending the mandate, but not here. Not here in Houston, not in Harris County, at least. So please wear your mask wherever you go because it's still serious. The vaccine is here, but the rollout is very rough. So a lot of people still don't have it. I think it's maybe like 5% of the state of Texas. So wear a mask, please, please, please. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get into the gig. Woo!
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to the In My Head podcast. And today I'm here with my friend Jessica Junco. Say hi.
Hi, hello, Cody.
Hi, hello, howdy. Oh boy. I met Jessica when I was in the 8th grade. And
Mhm.
so we've known each other for more years than I'm going to count because I can't do math that quickly. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today, but say hi, Jessica, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, etc.
Okay, yeah. So, hi, my name's Jessica. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a civil engineering major, but more importantly, I'm the loudest and proudest member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2019. Woo!
They're legally obligated to do that.
False. I'm just proud. Okay. um, yeah, I went to the dentist today, so that's me attempting to adult, still figuring that part out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, glad to be here.
The dentist. Well, okay, so I guess we can start with the subject at hand or so I had asked Jessica a little while ago if she'd be on the podcast. Well, originally I wanted to do it with her and Evangeline and this be our whole podcast, but schedules are very wild nowadays and it is near impossible. So maybe someday in the far future, but so then I asked her to just be on an episode and I wanted her to talk about her experience like as an engineer because she's one of the few that I know that you're one of the few that I know that like is actually out of school now and is working in a field that we always hear like it's very male dominated. It's very white male dominated. We hear that. But like a lot of us aren't engineers. So a lot of us don't
Ooh.
Yeah, so a lot of us don't really experience it firsthand. So like we know it in our minds, but something that is conceptual, is sometimes still kind of hard to understand until you live it. And so I wanted her to talk about her experiences. And before we even really get into that, when I first asked her, she was very nervous and she told me no. And so I was a little surprised.
Conditionally.
What?
I said yes conditionally. I was nervous.
Well, no, at first you said no.
Okay, true.
At first you said no, and I was like, okay, like I guess that's okay. And so then you were like, well, that's when you called me and explained to me why you didn't want to, and you said you had a lot of anxiety about it, and I wanted you to talk about why you even had that anxiety in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell the people what I told you.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm not out here telling you I'm someone special. I am no MLK. Just a person, and I don't know. It felt like first of all, thanks for asking me to talk about it, but I did feel nervous. I felt like it was a big responsibility to
Yeah.
like. I just don't want to misspeak or misrepresent somebody. But the way you asked me to like just share my experiences made it feel like, yeah, I can't be wrong in explaining my own experience.
Mm.
So it felt a little less like, don't mess up because your people are watching
Yeah.
and you
Cause I
know.
yeah, because I think you felt like at first, like I wanted you to talk about it in a sense that how is every woman of color feeling in the engineering field? How is like I think maybe that's what you thought, and I didn't mean I guess I should have been more specific, but I mean this is all very like this podcast when I have people come on is always very individualized experiences, and I feel like you aren't the only person that I've asked that is like, well, what am I going to talk about? I'm just me. I don't do anything. But it's like, but you're a person. You're a human being. You have experiences, and so we're just talking about that. It doesn't have to be this life changing, like hyper inspirational thing. It's just like how you're feeling, um and you also said like, yeah, I don't want to misrepresent anyone, and I don't want to like have to represent my whole group, my whole race, my whole ethnicity, my whole gender, whatever. And so like why do you think you even have to do that? Why do you think people would even think that you were doing that?
I will answer the question, but I want to start with I'm very proud
Mm-hmm.
of myself, of my people, of
Yeah.
like who I am and where I come from. So it's not a matter of like, I don't really want to talk about my culture. It's just like, it was more like, there's not, we're like up and coming.
Yeah.
Like, like I guess our generation, you, me, and Evangeline, and I never really thought about it until my mom pointed it out. She's like, "Oh, like you're all different ethnicities, and you all have like such different, like just school wise, different uh things we're pursuing." And it's like, yeah, there's not that many of us yet. We're still getting up there, and I don't want us to be like 2 steps forward and then 10 steps back because Jessica said something dumb or like it was just
Yeah.
it's just like pressure that I add on myself just because I feel like, and I think a lot of people can share the same experience of um you're more watched more because there are less of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little mistake can seem magnified just because you're adding that pressure to yourself to like, okay, we got here, we got to get 1 step further. Like it's always like, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like there not being that many of us. So
Right.
in any setting at any point in time, because like if you go to a school with like a lot of white people and you're a person of color, you have a lot of references for what white people are like. Like you kind of know, and that's usually the case in a lot of settings, whether that especially like in certain fields that are very white dominated, not even just white male. So you know what white people are like in general. But like but to those white people, you are the reference for a Hispanic person, or you are the reference for a black person.
Wow, yeah.
So that's it. That's all they know. They're not in a very racially or ethnically or culturally diverse area. So they're using you as the litmus. They're using you as like the example. So when they go out into the world, if they ever go out into the world and meet more people, they expect them to be like you almost.
Yeah, I don't
And
want to like say something that comes off as like abrasive or like
yeah,
angry, and everybody's like, oh, dude, Latina women are so angry, or
yeah.
like, I don't, I'm trying to represent myself well. And
Uh,
that way, yeah, like what you said, it's not, I don't know. I can't, I don't know.
no,
You,
no, you make sense.
you said it well. Yeah.
It yeah, because it I don't know. I guess like, and we are like, I don't know about you, but because I have a lot of anxiety and I think a lot, and some of us are very cognizant and very aware of the stereotypes that are on our group.
Yes.
So, and some people aren't, and some people don't care. But like for the people who are very hyper aware and very anxious about it, we, especially when we were young, not anymore, but when we were young, we're maybe overcompensating for like those stereotypes. So like me being black and then black people aren't very smart, I felt like I had to be smart, or like black people are very loud, and I'm naturally loud, but I had to try to think to not be loud, and like things like that, I guess. Or like the mad black woman trope of like, okay, I can't be angry all the time because I'll just be reduced to that. But I mean, it's definitely something I care a lot less about now. But like when you were in school.
I feel like mine's opposite.
Okay.
Because at least elementary school through high school, I grew up in a very like Hispanic neighborhood. Everybody knew everybody. Like I went to school with the same people from the time I was like 4 till high school. And like, yeah, sure, there were like new people here and there, but in elementary school is like predominantly Hispanic and black community. And then when I went to middle school, that's when I like it sounds so crazy to me to think of now, but I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever had so many Asian friends. Like I didn't
Oh.
in like in elementary school, I had like 2 Asian friends. And
Yeah.
it's not because I didn't seek out those friendships. I just didn't have that around me yet.
Hmm.
And then in high school, I feel like we all went to the same high school. I keep saying we, like me, you, and Angela, but we're a unit. But like
Yeah.
we all went to the same high school, and a lot of times, and I can think of so many instances, we go to like UIL trips for orchestra, or like I remember one very specific. It was like a region Saturday that we had to practice, and this kid was like, "Oh, y'all go to KF? Isn't that the ghetto school?"
Hmm.
And like you just had Darian on, but Darian turned around and was like, "Yeah, we'll cut you." Just as like it's so ignorant to
Oh,
say
weird.
that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so small-minded. And back in high school, I was like, man, you're so stupid for even thinking that. Like I would just brush it off and like whatever. Because at the time, I felt like, hey, we're all together. We're the minorities were the majority, so I never felt small. I never felt small all through high school. And then in college, I went to A&M, loved my school, loved my time there, but it was very, very different from what I experienced in high school. And I'm not saying somebody came out here and called me names or
Yeah.
whatever, but it was just a different environment completely.
Yeah. It's a reverse culture shock. I don't know what to call it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know what to call it. I mean, yeah, before we get into A&M, because I want to talk about that too, but like but like I guess like, okay, so for me, I don't remember how many people were actually there, but I remember most of elementary school because I switched elementary schools in the middle. But like I remember most of the time the people around me were Asian.
Mm-hmm.
And that was most of, I want to say, elementary school and middle school, and then most of high school, but it got way more diversified in high school.
Yeah.
But like there were always people of color around me, but very few black people.
Okay.
So it still felt like I was the other, even in the group of minorities, and especially with like Asian people, especially at that young age. Like I felt like I might as well have been around a bunch of white people because like I was the black kid, and at the time it's definitely way better now, but I feel like Asian people did not understand black people. And so I did still feel that other, and I still feel like because like Asian people were stereotyped as like the quiet, docile, pretty, like to themselves, smart kids, like behave themselves, and so I felt like I was in a weird. And I hate to even say it, I felt like I was trying to fit in with them, and I felt like I was trying to be them because they were the model minority and I wasn't, so I had to be like them. And even like when we got older and we got closer as friends and stuff, people would tell me about like their parents and how their parents didn't trust black people and stuff, and or
Oh,
didn't really hang around them or didn't really want their kids to hang around them. And I mean, I might have been a little better because I was in the AP classes and I was smart, and like I honestly I'm light skinned. So I feel like that was another thing that maybe that's why their parents felt safe with me. I don't know. But
you just
so huh?
memory you just brought a memory back
Yeah.
from like middle school. Like mine was opposite from you. In elementary school, I didn't have very many Asian friends, and then in middle school is when I started to make a lot of Asian friends. And I remember one of my friends had a birthday, and she invited a bunch of girls over, and I didn't get invited, and I didn't think anything of it.
Mhm.
One of my other Asian friends was like, tell her why you're not invited." And I was like, okay, I didn't really want to know, I guess. And she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, her parents are racist. They don't like Mexicans. And I was
Oh, why even bring it up?
like, why did you feel the need to tell me that? It was,
Wow.
yeah, weird. I just,
I don't know, and it's funny that people or like kids will feel the need to bring stuff like that up.
like, what?
I know kids are dumb and they don't have like social faculties to understand that that's inappropriate, but they're like they know it's mean. Like they do
Dude,
know
I'm
it's
a
mean.
I don't want to hear this.
Yeah. Like I don't want to hear it. Keep it to yourself. Like but okay, so A&M, how I'm sure oh, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. My computer did a weird thing. But like I'm sure it was like school wise a good experience because you make it sound like a good experience.
Yeah, yeah.
But you were at school in 2016. So I wonder I always wonder like what it was like out there especially I mean in general, but like especially when you were out there doing like the election and stuff like um did it feel weird being around like for the first time probably in your life in a
Mhm.
majority white environment?
You know, the funny thing is at that time, no,
Okay.
because I feel like in, and I remember in 2016, like talking about this with several friends, like I didn't know very many Trump supporters. Not a lot of people had outwardly said like, yes, I support Trump.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear a lot of that yet until after he won.
Oh.
So before in the like pre-election time, I didn't experience that. I can like remember one thing where somebody was like, yeah, something Trump, and I'm not like very political, but I did not vote for Trump because I don't want to support somebody who hates my people,
Uh-huh.
thing that we stand for, which is hardworking. Nothing is handed to us, and I can't get just that alone. I can't get past that. I can't. And if that makes me dumb, sorry, not sorry, because just no. And this girl who was also Hispanic was like, yeah, something, something, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I said it out loud because I didn't like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, what is going on? And she's like, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, why? She's like, why are you not? And I'm like, he literally hates you. You know that? Like, he he's called us this openly, has no shame, no regret about it, truly believes that. And she was like, so you're just gonna vote for Hillary because you're Mexican? And I'm like,
That's not what I said.
did you not listen to anything I just said? But whatever. That was like the one experience beforehand. And then afterwards, it actually got super weird. Like I went back to College Station after I graduated,
Oh.
and it was summertime. You'd expect nobody to be on campus, but there were people that were protesting one of the statues, saying that you're upholding the statue of somebody who is racist or stands for racist things, or so there were two different sides and they were coming together at the same time, and I was like, oh no, we got to get out of here.
I'm gonna go home.
I was nervous about it because I was like, I don't know like how aggressive or if this is going to become violent. And so we just kept walking, but people were just standing like feet away from each other yelling in the middle of summer on a college campus where nobody's at. And I'm like, oh, it was weird. I didn't expect to see that on a nice June day.
That is surprising.
Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I guess because you said so you didn't really ever encounter anything besides that,
Yeah, I didn't.
and nobody ever made you feel weird.
I have one more story.
Okay.
Uh, I was in class and it must have been sophomore year. It was probably like statics or something. And there's a guy and I'm like super friendly. So I just turned around. I was like, hey, what's up? What's your name? And I don't remember this guy's name. It's not worth remembering after you hear this. I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was like, where'd you go to high school? And I think he said like Cy Ridge, Cy something. I don't remember. And then he's like, what about you? And I was like, Climb Forest. And he's like, isn't that and he was gonna say it. He was gonna say, isn't that ghetto school?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah, the diverse high school in the Klein district. And I saved him. I saved him from making me upset. I said, yes, the diverse school. And he like just didn't say anything. But the funny part was this man was Hispanic as well.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I didn't have kind of like something that you might expect to happen didn't happen to me. It was
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
Things aren't always like, I think sometimes people still think of like racism or discrimination in terms of like calling you the N-word or saying a name or like, but microaggressions can also be like a thing. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes they're so subtle. It's funny because sometimes they're so subtle you even wonder if you're making it up in your head.
Yes, because then there's the whole like I feel like I'm always riding a thin line of like, am I gonna be called you're being politically correct? Or maybe I'm just being respectful of others. And I don't think it's that hard to distinguish, but I feel like for a lot of people it's black or white. There's no in between about it. And I'm like, maybe just if you think it's offensive, don't say it, and maybe just think before you speak.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of instances where I argued with people about racial things in college, but I mean, I went to a majority Hispanic college and I still had a fight with that. And it wasn't like literal fighting. It was just like definitely big differences of opinion. And a lot of them were like centrists or like center right or Republicans.
Okay.
And that was always very interesting to me because I remember in the 2016 election when we had an organization, we had a meeting or something, we were waiting for somebody to come and they were talking about who they voted for in the primary, I think. And I think one person was like, well, I voted for Marco Rubio, and then the other person was like, yeah, me too. And I was like, what the fuck, y'all voted for Marco Rubio? And I'm like, they voted for Republicans, and I'm like, ugh. And that was probably the first time I'd talked to anybody about like people I didn't really know about that stuff, and I was like, y'all gave your vote up to Marco Rubio. I just remember being so shocked because I was like, but they are a lot more conservative in San Antonio than like
Really?
Houston. Yeah, I think so. Than San Antonio and then like Austin or Houston or even Dallas, which was very surprising.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit, but well, I think because most Hispanic people there are Catholic, like very
Okay.
strongly Catholic. Like the school was Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe that had a lot to do with it.
Okay. That actually, yeah, that math adds up.
Yeah, and there were a lot of like lighter skinned Hispanic people who thought they were white, and so because I remember arguing with somebody about like reverse racism, and I've told the story 1,000 times, but like yeah, I remember having that whole argument and about how there was a kid who before I went to the school, it might have been a year or like a year and a half before I got there, but there was like an off-campus shooting of some kid by one of the campus police. And I'm not sure what the situation was, and I know they shot him off campus. I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but I know he passed away. And so that was a whole thing, and people were really upset about it. But one girl was like, well, I don't even know how we got on this topic, but one girl was like, well, I feel like he didn't really get a lot of press coverage, and he didn't really get a lot of, media attention because he was white. And I was like, okay. I didn't agree with her, and because I was like, well, reverse racism isn't a thing, and she was like, well, I think it's a thing, because that is what she cited as an example. She was like, because he was white and he wasn't black and he got shot by a cop, they didn't care.
That was her example.
What'd you say?
You were talking about reverse racism, and that was her example of.
Yeah, one of her examples.
Okay.
And yeah, I didn't really get it either. And I was like, and then I went into a whole like tangent about what reverse racism means, and how you can't have reverse racism because the minority cannot the oppressed cannot oppress the oppressors. Like, this just not logistically possible. Like and that's what reverse racism is. Like, you know what I mean? So, and that was a weird example, because I was like, if anything, you shouldn't be upset that he got no media coverage. You should be upset that a cop got away with shooting a kid. Just period. Just point blank period. Why are you upset that he was white? Why are you upset that you should be you should be upset that he got shot by a cop? 100%. You should also be upset that black people are disproportionately shot, and cops are just murdering innocent people, or they're not executors. They're just supposed to take you to prison or jail or whatever, so you can get due process. That's the whole point of cops, not to kill you, especially if that kid posed no threat. Because I don't know if he had a gun. I don't know,
right,
what that whole situation.
Don't know all the details. Don't know.
Yeah. So, and then we talked about quotas and how some, minorities get into med school because they're minorities. Like, we talked about that too. And I was like, what is this conversation? Not me being a black
you
person.
remember the girl who sued the college because she didn't get in?
Yeah. Was it there's a couple schools, but UT was one of the biggest cases.
Girl, what?
I'm like,
I
never thought I'd have to fight other minor. I had never thought I'd have to be the only black person in a room full of Hispanic people fighting for not only black people but also Hispanic people, and also all the other minorities. I was like, no one's gonna back me up here, and I was like, I guess not. My other two friends were definitely like, they were there too, and they were trying to stay out of it. And I didn't feel like I was yelling or anything. It was more so less me being mad and more so me being shocked. I was just very surprised. But anyway, so that's always a moment I think about it. I was like, I remember just being like,
that's wild.
I can't talk to you anymore because you sound insane. But so, okay, so after college, so you work for the place you did your internship with while you were in college. You did your internship while you were in college?
The summer of my college year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that? How was like adjusting to a work environment and like becoming like a full real and full-time employee, and like adjusting to like the work culture, I guess?
Oh, okay, yeah, I can definitely speak on that. I think I have it pretty good, because I mean, I can only speak for the one company I've been employed at, but like, it's very like, okay, let me tell you how I got into the company first. I think it'll make sense. I went to career fair and I spoke to somebody and I was like, here's my resume. Like, literally, like, I get it. Some companies are super corporate and they're cutthroat and it's cut and dry and that's it. But this man, I handed him my resume. I was like, hi, I'm Jessica. Nice to meet you. Shook his hand. And he's like, so tell me about yourself. I was like, well, I'm a civil engineer. He stopped listening. I only told him my major. He stopped listening. Oh. He tried to hand me my resume back. And I kept like trying to like re-engage in the conversation and start over. And he was like, yeah, all right, well, you can submit this online. Or like, he just did not, no interest whatsoever. Very just rude, like rude. I walked away and I took a moment to like, all right, let me just breathe. There's no crying at career fair. I was so like, I was really upset and I pulled off to the side and one of my friends came up to me And I kind of was just catching up with her, and I told her what happened. She goes, "Was it this company?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you know that they just asked me if I'm a resident of the United States?" And she's like, "I was born here." And I'm like, and I under like I understand the frustration.
Yeah.
Like that it's some companies will straight up tell you like we can't hire you for this reason or whatever, and I have some issues with that myself, but like it was the same company, so I was like, man, they're really mean people. I don't want to work for them anyways. And then I was like, all right, dry those dried tears. Don't let them show.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like just watching companies, seeing how people interacted, and I saw mine, and everybody was genuinely smiling and talking to each other. Like every booth I went to was like, yeah, we're real family oriented, and I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then I saw them, and they were very like it just felt real. It felt warm. It felt like genuine people, not robots trying to sell you something. Like it felt good. And so I went and spoke to them, and it ended up working out. They took us to a dinner. They picked like a couple candidates to take to dinner that night and just meet like more on a personal basis. And I was like, dang, I looked at the table. I was like, man, these people are going to get it. Like they're so good and they have all this experience and their grandpa was in the field for 30 whatever years and their grandpa started a company and like this and that. And so I just felt like I was a step behind everybody, or maybe they were a step ahead of me.
Uh-huh.
I felt like they were already like, damn, they got it for sure. But I was the one that got the internship, and I was shocked. I was like, whoa. And so I guess they go with the more like um I don't know. It just felt genuine. It felt real. And so when they tell you they care about you, I believe that. Like
Yeah.
I believe that they care about us as not just like employees or a number, but as people. So the work environments, like there things can be fixed everywhere. So I'm not going to sit here and say like it's perfect, but I feel good about where I work. And it's like I have a half day Fridays. You know, if you have, yeah, double down. If you have like a doctor's appointment, if you have a family emergency, nobody's gonna sit there and question you or whatever. Just like do what you gotta do, get it done, and be responsible, and that's it. That's all they ask. And I feel like I don't know. I don't know how it would be if I worked for that mean old cutthroat company that just didn't even give me 30 seconds of their time. I can only speak for myself, and I think I would much rather be working than being
Yeah.
in school. Let's put it like that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good that you, yeah, because some people like can't stand where they work. So, and
Yeah.
it's good that you feel like the work environment isn't too hostile or negative
Yeah.
or whatever word you want to use there, because you also told me about some experiences being the only, are you like the only woman of color that is like,
In my position,
yeah, on
um,
your level?
on my level in my department, I think I can think of one other woman right now.
Okay.
Um, Overall, in the company, there are more
Okay.
women of color, but it just might be a different department. But
Okay.
yeah, my majority, as in most
Yeah.
places, white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, like anytime we go to a meeting, I'm almost always the only woman, except for recently we got a new girl out with these meetings, and I'm like, hello, how are
You're
you?
like, you want to be my friend?
Do you want to be friends?
Yeah.
So there's like I'm always almost always the only woman. I'm always the youngest,
Yeah.
and I'm always the only Hispanic person that's an engineer. Mostly contractors are Hispanic. Um all the people that are actually out there making it get
Yeah.
done, putting everything together, making things work. It's
Yeah.
that's a different story, but yeah.
So so how do I, so of the few instances that you've had a run-in with racially charged, I'll use that word, that
Okay.
the other outlets like to use.
Uh-huh.
Like, because the way you've explained it to me, those instances aren't fully racist moments. They're more microaggression-y.
Yeah,
Like, I would put them more under that category,
I agree because I've
kinda. And
but it still hurts and
yeah,
it's still
no, of course, yeah. It's
yeah.
especially because some microaggressions are very like subtle and hard to detect, and some of them are like more obvious. And I feel like the ones you've experienced are definitely more obvious. And I wonder, like, I say this, but like I don't know what I would actually do, because I always joke with you, like, if that happened to me, I would lose my job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I would actually do, but like, because I do find it hard to keep my mouth shut. So like in those moments, like, for my own edification, how do you not go off on people when you're like surrounded, especially if I'm surrounded by white people and I am the only person of color, and I'm like, no, we're not gonna talk like that, not around me.
Yeah. And
How?
I think more than anything, it's just because I'm honestly shocked. I'm just like,
Yeah,
how do you think it's okay to say this kind of thing? Or do you literally think nothing of me? Or do you have no respect for me? Like, am I that small to you that you think you can just say this and it's okay?
yeah,
And then I take a step back and I'm just like, I'm not at all excusing it. Like I've spoken to my dad who's been like in construction forever, and now like he's not out there anymore like doing the construction part of it. He's like a manager. He has an office now, which he didn't want to do for a long time. He's like, I
yeah.
like to be outside. I like to see what the where the
Yeah,
action's at. But like I spoke to my dad a lot about it, and he's like, well, you gotta you got to remember, like, again, not excusing it, but you got to remember, like, you're one of the firsts. Like, our generation is like, we're the firsts. So like really dig in. So like really get into the fields that haven't seen us before,
mhm.
that haven't experienced us. And hey, guess what? Get used to it, world, because we're
Yeah,
coming. But at this time, like everybody is so it's so easy to be stuck in your ways when you've been doing it for like your whole life. You're let's say you're 80 years old and that's all you've ever known, it's all you've ever done, and you're like, yeah, whatever, this is cool, like everyone else thinks the same thing, like,
yeah.
yeah, man, high fives all around, that's great. But it's
Yeah.
not, and I don't think it ever was okay. And I just I'm trying to find a way, like when I come across a situation like this in any avenue, to just speak up in a way that says that's not okay. Don't say that around me. I'm not, that's not my job to change somebody's political views. I don't care. I'm not here to change who you voted for. I'm not here to educate you. That's not my job description. But you're going to respect me because I'm a person and I deserve that. And I just yeah, I haven't found like the right words to say when I've had these situations come up. I don't know. We had harassment training today, and
Okay.
and the lady that was giving our who was giving the lesson, I don't know what to call it, giving the training,
Mm-hmm.
she kept saying, if this happens, say that's not cool. And I'm like, I was really hopeful that you could give me something better to work with, something to
Yeah.
like really strengthen my stance without kicking anybody else down. I don't want to make them feel like they're making me feel, but I want to speak my piece and be heard and be listened to in those kinds of situations. And sometimes, Kaylin, girl, if this was 10 years ago, I would have been fired too. Like,
If this were me 10 years ago,
this was me at 15,
we'd be
girl.
throwing punches,
Kick
ladies.
me outside. How about that?
Oh no.
Is that gonna get you sued for me saying that? Is bad baby
Is
gonna come
that
up?
is that copywritten?
Is that copy? I don't know.
We'll never know.
Whatever, but it's just like oh, am I reaching here? Am I digging deep here? But like I feel like
Yeah.
the school system in general, like just you're kind of trained to just I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I feel like you're kind of these are
You're trying to what?
hard out because I don't know what to say. But it's like I just feel like um oh, okay, I heard something recently. When you're a little girl, you have a belly and you're not embarrassed that you're sweaty, or like you don't have to be perfect. You're a kid and you're proud just because you're you and nobody's broken you down yet. And
Yeah.
I feel like over time, over years, over whatever experiences, you, at least for me, I feel like definitely through college, I was like, girl, it took one semester. I was broken. Jessica, who is she?
Oh no.
I think I'm slowly starting to rebuild from there.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten back to my 5-year-old feisty, you can't tell me nothing.
Oh
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. I'm trying to find that voice again.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, college broke me down too. It's okay. It doesn't.
It was rough.
It does it to all of us. I don't know what it is about school or college specifically. It's hard.
It's because we go through kindergarten through senior year with everybody telling us we're special for just doing what we have to do. Just for doing we're doing well because we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
But then we get to an environment where everybody did that and then some. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, girl, I'm not special.
That's especially when it's important to like I don't want to say that I was a big I don't think I was ever really big on comparing myself to other people in school. Uh maybe a little in high school, but like it's especially important to get over that in college because like there are going to be people who are better than you, did more than you, been more places, seen more things, work more jobs, people who already have a degree and in your like it's and I feel like it's very important not to get caught up in that. Like especially like now, especially with me now because like after graduating and like well, I graduated at a bad time, just in general, because of COVID. But like, it's specifically like after like the economic collapse of 2008 and now are probably the hardest times to find a job. And so, so it, and it's like, it's frustrating. And Danita even was like, because I told her, I was like, well, yeah, I don't have a job yet. And I say it jokingly. Sometimes I'm really upset. Sometimes I'm joking. And Danita's like, well, it is a panoramic, you don't have to like she's like, we are in the middle of a pandemic. And when she said, I was like, yeah, you're right. And I keep reminding even though I remind myself of that all the time, it still feels like, but still I should be able to find one because like I feel like I did everything I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I went to college. I went to college twice and did what I was supposed to do.
Got 2 degrees.
And huh?
Got 2 degrees.
And I'm like, okay, will someone hire me? And then, but everybody's asking for like, 8 years of experience or this many years of experience, or like they want you to have worked in a field like this very specific field, like not just HR, but like this type of training in HR. They want you to have done that for 8 years. And I'm like, well, I just graduated and I didn't work while I was in school because I was trying to do school. And so
Right.
I feel like now I'm being almost punished for not working while I was in school. Like a little part of me is like, should I? Because I didn't learn how to drive, right? And I couldn't get anywhere besides school. And so I was like, should part of me have sucked it up and like learned how to drive so I could drive to work and drive to school and done that at the same time and like because I didn't think it would be. I thought like if I went to school, I didn't need to have worked while I was in school. I thought school would just handle it for me. If that makes sense. Like I thought school would be my experience,
Yeah.
but that has not proven to be true.
Such
So
a dark.
yeah, now we're getting on a tangent about education, but like but like that's kind of how I feel now, and I'm just like
Yeah.
I don't even know. And like my therapist is helping me with that, and my mom will help me with that, and I'm just like I'm trying. I don't know what else to do. Like I'm applying to a lot of places, and I'm like I don't know how many places I'm supposed to apply to at a time, but I don't know. I don't know. But not that I thought it was gonna be super easy and I was gonna find one immediately, but even like even at one point when I was like, you know what, maybe I'll find a hotel job and just do that for a while. But even they were like, we want somebody who's already worked at a hotel. And I was like, I've been in school. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I've never worked at a hotel. I didn't think it was that serious. I didn't think it was that deep. So I'm like,
I just pulled up a quote that I wrote.
what
Like,
did you
yeah.
write?
Okay, you know my girl, Nicole Byer, my favorite.
Yeah.
She did an interview, or she did her podcast with shoot, and I think his name is Dion Cole.
Okay.
Um, I can't. I hope that's correct. But usually her podcasts are like super goofy and like silly, and this was no exception to it. But I was like really listening. I was like, oh, they did this one for me. Like I was
Uh-huh.
really listening, and like I guess the biggest part I took away from it was like the exactly word for word. If it's not happening, there's another door waiting on you. Like it's okay. Like don't and that's
Yeah.
so hard because we're like everybody tells you live in the moment, but then you have to plan 2 weeks ahead
Yep.
just so that you're on time for everything. And
Yep.
it's nuts and sometimes it's super overwhelming and like sometimes you just don't want to do a thing, but you can't do nothing. And you feel like you got somewhere to be and you don't know where that's at, but you got to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that
Yeah.
was. I was like, oh girl, take your time.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good quote.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a
I
good quote. Yeah, and yeah, I think about that too. I'm like, well, I guess if it hasn't happened, it's not supposed to happen. Like if this thing didn't happen, it's not supposed to. And I do have to remind myself of that. And I also try not to feel bad because I try not to feel bad. And I tell people this, but it's really hard to take your own advice
yeah.
because I'm like, I shouldn't feel bad about not having a job. I shouldn't feel bad because at first, for the first couple of months, I didn't care. Like I was like, I'm at home and I'm just kind of sitting around, and I went to school for 6 years and I'm tired, so I get to lounge around for a little bit. And then after a few months I said, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. And then people like, you graduate and people ask you, so what are you gonna do? Or like, what are you doing now? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm trying, and it happen when it happens. It just I think just after a few times of explaining to other people like what's happening or like why you don't have a job or that or like, oh, are you working yet? And I'm like, no, like I think it kind of just gets to you having to say it to other people
Yeah.
over and over again because it's like, yeah, especially because like we're in a pandemic and so most of us aren't seeing other people, so they don't know our overall situation for the most part, so then we have to like explain to them like when we're catching up, like, oh, so what are you doing? And it's like, I don't want to catch up because I don't want to have to explain what I'm doing. That's kind of how I feel sometimes.
It's just a
But
lot of added stress. And
yeah.
I feel like in most cases, like because I'm with you there on some other aspects, but like in
Mhm.
most cases, you're the only one that's adding that stress
Oh
to
yeah.
yourself. And then you take a step back and you notice nobody's pointing their finger is waiting on me to make my move. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Like nobody, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all on your yeah. It's a lot to think about during the
Rest.
during the pandemic.
Pandemic.
The pandemic. I'm waiting for the pandemic to be over so y'all stay at home so I can leave. So I can go somewhere else. I'm trying to escape.
We still got to go on our trip.
I know. I was really gonna try to. We were planning a trip to somewhere, and I was like,
You don't need your passport.
"Oh, Puerto Rico, yeah." And I was really like, "Yeah, we can go," but then the pandemic hit, and I was like, "We ain't going nowhere.
Oh,
We're not going anywhere."
we could still go somewhere. We can go to like wine country, somewhere in Texas.
Yeah, we can go somewhere in state.
Yeah. We don't have to fly.
Let me know, and let me know because I don't have a job, so I can go anywhere.
What?
Ah, that is one thing. I'm like, I can do anything at any time, at any point. I don't have a schedule to uphold at the moment.
Yeah.
Like this would have been like I feel like I told him Angela one time I was like I feel like I did reverse retirement. I feel like I got out of school and went straight into retirement, and then I'm gonna get a job. So I feel like right now I'm living retirement,
It
but
seems like
like,
retirements.
huh?
You get 2 retirements in
I'm
your
gonna
life.
get 2 retirements. Yep. I just wish there, man. It honestly would have been so nice to not have a pandemic right now because I could have been like going places, especially now while I have the time. Um,
Hmm.
I'm like doing it or just doing things, or like I was like, I'm gonna go to 15 concerts, and like that's not that.
Ah, I was like, concerts in Houston. And I
Yeah.
looked up like this whole year and I was like, I think one of these half excited me.
Yeah, I mean, I had like before 20, I think even before 2020. I think like at the end of 2019, I had concerts set. I had at least 3, and they all got canceled by the time I graduated. I was like,
Well,
I'm so sad. I don't know.
what's the last concert you went to?
I think Ariana Grande.
Was that in San Antonio?
Okay, we're back. My computer died. Jessica has cookies now.
Mm-hmm.
And you were what were we saying? You asked me what's the last concert I went to, and I said I think it was Ariana Grande.
And then I said, was that in San Antonio?
No, that was in Houston.
Oh,
That had to have been the last one I went to, but that would have been in 2019. Yeah, that sounds right. Because I don't think I went to another one for the rest of that year, and then I was gonna go to some in 2020.
all right, Pete.
So yeah, so I think that is. Oh nope, it was Carly Rae Jepsen.
Dun, da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da, da. That's still the only song I jam to. And it's really good. It's
like I
really
know one Carly Rae Jepsen song. That's all I need to know.
You were like, listen to all these songs. And I said, nope, this is
Yeah, I
this
was like, listen to
is
this album. She was like, okay, listen to one.
I listened to the whole album. That's the only one that I was like, whoa, I'm
That's a
feeling this.
that is a lot of uh people's favorite
It's a
in the
good one. It's
in the
cute.
fandom. Yeah, it is.
It makes me feel happy. I don't even know any of the words right now. Run away with me. Or something like
I
that.
know the chorus. Oh, yeah, okay. August the 2nd. Yeah, that's the last time I went to in 2019. So I didn't go to any in 2020, which
Well, yeah.
yeah, cuz well, what?
I had Khalid and Lizzo lined up for the week they shut down the damn rodeo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, the rodeo.
Yeah. So my last concert was October 2019, October 8th, 2019,
Yeah.
Mumford and Sons.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What a spiritual experience.
Wow.
I bought floor seats, and by floor
Wow.
seats, I mean one for myself. It was great.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, I broke my boots that day.
Oh.
Went too hard on the off beats.
Yeah, I think I went to oh yeah, okay, hold on. Yeah, I went to 3 concerts in 2019. And then
That's a good number.
that's a good number. I usually do yeah, I don't think I've ever done more than 3 in a year. So yeah, I went to see Ariana, and I went to see Ali and AJ, and I saw Carly Rae Jepsen. All great concerts. Ali and AJ's might have been my favorite. That one was really good. Huh?
Potential breakup song, explicit version.
Explicit version.
Oh
I know.
gosh, you know
They
that
just add like fuck or something. They had like literally one
that
bad
and
word.
I want my shit back.
Oh yeah.
And I
I'm
was
like,
like, wow.
wow, ladies, ladies.
If 12-year-old me was ready to pack her stuff and go,
Yeah,
25-year-old me said, Abby, let me help you pack your stuff. Let's go.
girl. Now do it with all the other Ali and AJ songs. We're gonna get explicit versions. That's gonna be a new album. We
Oh,
make explicit versions of all the songs.
honestly, let's do it. Why don't we do it? We'll just cover all the
Okay.
songs. We'll just cover all the
Oh,
songs.
we do it. There are multiple reasons why we are not going to do that.
I feel like we should do it. Do you
Okay.
want to be Ali or AJ?
We'll buy some studio time. Um, I don't.
Wait, I got it.
Okay.
Wait, who's Evangeline gonna be?
There's only 2 of them.
Oh God. Oh wait, I got it.
Okay.
You'll be Ali, but we'll call you Callie because you start with a K.
Oh boy. Okay.
And then it'll be Callie and JJ or Callie and AJ when Evangeline jumps in. That it works.
Yeah. So we're combining 2 people into one person.
I mean, weren't we gonna combine all our degrees?
Sure. We're like, yeah, we have degrees in engineering, psychology, and biology.
We have everything you need.
What
That's it.
can we do with that? What is that combination?
Uh,
Anything? I don't
guess
know
we have
either.
to go back to school and find out. I don't
I don't
know.
know either. We all have to work together all the time. See, if we're gonna combine our degrees, that means we have to operate as one person.
Hmm.
I don't know how. Do we get
Yeah.
one paycheck?
No, we're doing three times the amount of work. We need three
Yeah,
paychecks.
you're right. I don't know how we got
I
we got this far off. I don't remember why I started talking about concerts or the pandemic or why.
Oh, because you said if like this would be like a good first retirement if you were
Oh, if
if
I
you
could
had
do things.
places you could go,
Yeah,
and then we started talking about concerts.
that's still true.
Yeah.
I guess for a hard turn, I guess to bring it back to
Ooh,
the
okay.
original subject a little bit before we log off.
Ah,
I think it is, well, a main reason I wanted to have you on, especially, is because I feel like a lot of people, even well-intentioned people, don't understand the um anxiety and also like emotional discomfort and distress and like and stress in general that being the only person of color or being the only woman or being the only a person from your ethnicity in a group can have on a person. That is like a type of mental health issue
hmm.
that white people will never have to experience. And so a lot of people of color need therapy even for just that. Um especially those who have been through certain um school, like, being in school, higher education specifically, because there just aren't a lot of us in college, unlike on on the mass scale, if you look at colleges as a whole throughout the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
country. And so and then like people who go into majority white fields or male dominated fields, which like the stems and things like that. Like, so it's, and I people I think get really uncomfortable when you tell them, for some reason, when you tell them they have privilege, or or and like, I feel like if you are at work and there is an incident that is racialized in some kind of way, you say, hey, if you're very calm about it, even like, hey, that makes me feel weird and uncomfortable, I feel like you shouldn't say stuff like that. I feel like even then people are like, what, who is she to tell me? But I feel like it should
Yeah,
never be taken that way, because it's not like anybody's trying to tell you that you're an evil person and you're wrong, or
right.
you don't, you're racist.
No, yeah,
Some people are a bit hypersensitive, and they just are, because maybe they've been through some things, and they will say like, hey, stop being racist. And and there have been a lot of conversations even about like, why are people so offended about being called racist when they should be more upset about racism. Like, that is a conversation that we've had over and over again. Like, white people will fight tooth and nail because people call them racist and they don't want to be called that, but you should be more upset about the racist things that are going on. If somebody calls you racist, maybe stop for a second and be like, what did I do that would have been interpreted as racist? Because I don't want to be that, and I don't.
because because being called racist is it's usually based on your actions. It's usually based
Yeah,
on actions. Being called like a racial slur has nothing to do with like what you're doing or who you are. It's just you look like this or you're this person, so I'm gonna call you this.
yeah,
And I feel like, yeah, if somebody called me racist, I'd be like, oh, I'm
yeah,
please like take a step back with me and tell me like what did I do to offend you? Like what, and maybe that's just me, but I feel like that's the approach to take with it. Like
yeah,
if somebody called me racist, I would be offended, but I would also ask like, why'd you call me that? Like, what did I do to make you feel that I'm racist? Because
yeah,
that the bigger problem is that somebody feels like they're being discriminated against.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. So it's well,
Yeah, I think people like to get really bogged down in semantics, like what words mean. Like, so we have to now we have to spend all this time talking about what does racist mean? Are you really racist? Why are you calling you know, then we have to go and like figure out the definition of racist because but then that like kind of derails the point.
The actual problem.
Yeah, that derails the actual point because we're arguing over definitions when we should be arguing over like actions and what people
Yes.
are doing and how people are feeling
Yes.
about certain things. And yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird to me. Like, I don't want anybody to necessarily feel like white guilt because I know that's also a thing, white guilt. But I don't necessarily need that. It really is just like or want that. I just more of like an empathy thing and like understanding like white people for the most part just need to understand that we as a group of people as minorities or whatever you want to call us are going through things that you will never experience and that's okay, and we need to all just work together to kind of get to a more equal empathetic society. Like we don't just be understanding of like, and it's harder with older people. It is just harder with older people. Like you work in engineering and they're older people and sometimes it is really just harder to like change their minds when they've been talking and saying certain words for however long in their life and nobody's been bothered by it before, so why are you all bothered now? It's like, well, we're a completely different generation, so we're going to
Right.
think different. You know, we've been raised different, we grew up with different media, so like we just are going to have different thought processes, and like you can call us the, you know, softer generation or you guys are just soft, and I'm like, if being empathetic is being soft, then call me soft.
Yeah. I had this conversation literally today. Um, it's it's not about, yeah, like call me what you want. I'm just trying to respect other people
Yeah.
as I be respected, as everyone deserves to be respected. Like
Yeah.
why does caring about somebody's feelings make others see you in a negative light?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I don't understand how you saying, hey, that's not okay, looks bad versus a microaggression or a racist comment, or like, no, it shouldn't, you shouldn't have to feel afraid or anxious to state that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. It. Yeah.
a lot of times it's easy for the is the word perpetrator, it's it's a lot easier for the I'm gonna say criminal.
Okay.
It's a lot easier for the criminal to point the blame on the victim and be
Uh huh.
like, well, no, you're just taking it wrong,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just a joke. Like, why are you so sensitive?
Yeah.
Or like, get over it. And you don't want to be seen as like a Debbie Downer or like a party pooper or like or super or overly sensitive, or there's
Yeah.
no crying in the workplace. Like, you don't want to seem like that kind of person, but also I don't want to be seen as a person who gets walked all over
Yeah.
or somebody who doesn't stand up for what's right.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of trying to find a balance in between that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm supposed to hopefully get in touch with one of my friends to be on the podcast who is white. And I actually want to ask her about some of this stuff.
Okay.
Not that she's necessarily going to represent her race, but like I I'm sure she's grown up with white people. I'm sure she knows an array of them who have all types of thoughts and rationales and things like that. So I just want to ask her like maybe what she grew up with and like why white people tend to really want to deny their privilege. Like it is just such a thing. Like I guess I don't know if it's a loud minority or what, but like when I see white people talk about it in like on social media or on TV or whatever, it is just something they really can't get behind. Like um I remember this one guy, I don't even it was on Facebook, I think, and I had said something about white privilege and he was like he did the whole like, well, I've worked for everything I've had, so like how do I have privilege? Like I'm, you know, a poor white person, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, see, what you're talking about is a class issue. What I'm talking about is a privilege issue. So we're talking about two different issues. And you're conflating the two to be the same thing. So like you are poorer. Okay, yeah, that's a class issue. We can talk about capitalism tomorrow. Right now I'm talking about race issues. So like then you have to understand that there is a privilege that you even get just being a white person versus being a poor white person versus being a middle class black person. Even so yeah. So I want to talk to her just to get like her view of things because she's one of the few, I guess, white friends that I have who would be willing to talk about that kind of a thing.
I literally had that same exact conversation of classism versus racism this
Yeah.
weekend. Like, somebody was sharing something about their friend, and they're like, "Well, I don't get it. I don't understand how." I think they were talking about reverse racism,
Mm.
and my my aunt's friend was like, "Well, yeah, I don't think reverse racism is a thing. Like, I'm white and I grew up poor and I didn't have anything and I worked to get here. My cousin, 16, woke as can be, just like just steps right in. She's like, that's classism, not racism." And I was like, ah, like
Not wrong.
like you should have her on the podcast. She's like just jumped right in, and it didn't take her but a second to process the entire conversation. She was just like, snap.
Like, you're incorrect.
Like my younger cousins, yo, they are on the ball. So one of them could be running for something. I don't know.
The Gen Zers, they're ahead.
They'll catch me. They'll like
Yeah.
did you hear this? Did you know about this? And I'm like, honestly, no. Thank you for sharing this with me. Like I'm so amazed. I was 16. I was not at all thinking about these things because I was in my little world and I wasn't like super like I guess social media has definitely brought awareness or
Me too.
highlighted or emphasized a lot of issues that were already there. And they're like, I think everybody I know under the age of 20 is like
Yeah. Yes.
80% of the time, and it's just so readily accessible to them, and they're on it. They're on it. They're on it. And when they had the protest downtown Houston, my cousin was like, I'm finding a way there. I'm going. Like,
girl, I can't drive, but I'm riding the bus.
So
yeah.
Like I'm so impressed by their willingness to learn.
Yeah.
And their pursuit of righteousness. Like it's so I don't know. I don't know. I'm proud of them.
The Gen Zers are realizing things at age 12 that it took me to age like 20 to realize or to care about or to learn about. Like I'm like, wow. And I really think a lot of it does have to do with like social media and the fun. Like we can whine about it and complain about it all day, but it is just like readily available information and like we have YouTube, for example, right? So there are people talking about what they experience on YouTube. So we're seeing people we would have never met. We're hearing stories from people we would never meet if we didn't have YouTube or all these other like video platforms and whatnot. And
just like YouTube for us when we were like I remember watching music videos on yahoo.com.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, everything you could ever look for is there. It's ready for you.
Yeah.
Somebody's already done it. Look it up.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy.
There is just like no excuse. I mean, I won't say there's no excuse to not be informed, but there's no excuse to be like, well, it's there. Like, so if you ever want it to, it is there. Like, it's not like it's hard to find. There's just all kinds of information and things out there that you can find.
Gotta chill. Ghost walk through me.
There's a ghost in Jessica's apartment.
Oh, don't say that. I'm by myself.
You just maybe they're nice.
If you're nice, play me a good old song.
Good old song on what? They're gonna start singing, and then what are we gonna do?
Sing with them if I know the song.
Oh, okay. I would have left. I would have left. All right. Well, Jessica, do you have anything else to say to the people?
I love you.
Wow.
That was just for Kayla Marie Lewis. Sorry.
I was like, you don't even know them.
Sorry. Only Kayla Marie Lewis and Evangeline. Okay.
She has her headphones in right now, so she can't hear us. But, well, Jessica, thank you for coming on, even though it made you nervous. I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Proud of you.
See, you did good.
I don't know. I definitely just rambled for like on here, but
I mean, this is a hard topic to get on, especially since there's like so many things to talk about, and like I could go on forever about these kinds of things, but yeah, we'll end it here, and we'll say bye to the people until next time. And next time I'll get you on and we'll talk about something less intense or less sad or less less social justice. We'll talk about a song or a movie or something.
Flag.
Whatever you want to talk about. Huh?
Flag. I'm down.
Flag, yeah.
H town till I drown.
Oh. We'll talk about H Town till I drown. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right, girl. Wave
Bye.
bye to the people. Bye. All right, guys. That's the end of the show. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed our guest, Jessica. I would also like to thank her again for coming on and for speaking her truth and for um, sharing her story. I really liked having her on. I really liked talking to her about this topic. Um, I hope you guys are loving the show so far. I really like doing the show. Even though my audience is small, I just like doing these episodes. I like making the show. I hope you're listening to old episodes and new episodes. Please follow me on Instagram. Please follow me on TikTok. Please follow me on Facebook. I know there's a lot to follow, but it helps. Please follow me on Spotify as well. And yeah, please wear a mask and stay safe.